Draft Night 2025, one of the most hyped quarterbacks in years, is sitting in a room waiting for his name to be called. The cameras are on him. The whole country is watching. Round 1 comes and goes. Nothing. Round 2. Nothing. Round 3, 4, 5. Still nothing. And somehow it gets worse. While he's sitting there waiting, his phone rings. A voice on the other end says it's the New Orleans Saints front office. They're about to pick him. Just hang tight. He believes it. Of course he does. Why wouldn't he? It was a prank call from a random 21-year-old kid, and it was all happening live on stream for the entire world to see. Hours later, deep into day 3, with the 144th pick in the 5th round, the Cleveland Browns finally called his name, 144, the same team that passed on him when they were picking 2nd overall, the same organization that Shedeur's own father, Deion Sanders, once publicly said he would never let his son play for. And now the world had one question: is Sheduer Sanders actually good enough to play in this league? Or did all those teams that passed on him know something the rest of us didn't? That's exactly what we're going to break down today. To understand why the fall hurt so much, you need to understand how high the expectations were going into that draft. Shedeur Sanders spent his college career doing things that made people stop and pay attention. At Colorado in 2023, in his very first game of the season, he threw for over 500 yards against TCU, a team that had just played in the national championship the year before. His team were 20-point underdogs going into that game. They won anyway. And what made that game so impressive wasn't just the numbers. It was the way he played. Calm. Decisive. Like he had been in big moments his whole life. Because honestly, he had been. Growing up as Deion Sanders' son means there is no such thing as a low-pressure environment. After that game, people took notice fast. Tom Brady started working with him personally. Jerry Jones, the owner of America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, said publicly that Shedeur could go 1st overall in the draft. Mel Kiper and the top analysts all had him comfortably in the 1st round. The hype was not made up. It was built on real performances in real big games. So when draft night came and he kept sliding and sliding and sliding, it was genuinely shocking to everyone watching. Even President Donald Trump tweeted about it, calling the situation flat out ridiculous. That is how far Shedeur fell. Far enough that the President of the United States commented on it. Now here is where the real story begins. Because getting drafted is one thing. What happens after is everything. Cleveland came into the 2025 season with 5 quarterbacks on their roster: Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, Deshaun Watson on injured reserve, and Shedeur at the very bottom of the depth chart. The plan was simple. This was a defense-first team. Myles Garrett was on pace to potentially break the NFL single-season sack record. The Browns were not looking for a quarterback to carry them. They just needed someone who would not blow everything up. So Joe Flacco started, and honestly, Flacco was terrible. 4 games, 1 win, more interceptions than touchdowns, dead last in the entire NFL in passer rating. The guy has a Super Bowl ring and years of experience, and he could not get anything going behind that offensive line. Meanwhile, Shedeur is sitting on the bench watching all of this, and he was not quiet about how he felt. In a press conference, without ever saying Flacco's name once, he made it very clear that he believed he should be the one out there playing. Other NFL players came at him for it. Fans came at him. People were saying he was being disrespectful, that he needed to sit down and learn his job. Then Flacco got traded to Cincinnati. But even then, Shedeur still was not next in line. That spot went to Dillon Gabriel, the 3rd-round pick Cleveland had drafted the same year. And Gabriel was fine, he was safe, he took care of the ball, but he was also incredibly limited. Nearly 2/3 of everything he threw went within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. He was not moving the ball downfield. He was not scoring points. The Browns went 11 straight games scoring 17 points or fewer. 11 games. That broke a franchise record that had stood since the 1970s. The offense was genuinely one of the worst in the entire NFL, and Shedeur was just watching from the sideline. Week 11 against the Ravens. Dillon Gabriel takes a hit and goes down with a concussion. Shedeur runs onto the field for the first time as a professional football player, and it did not go well at all. 4 completions, 47 yards, 16 attempts, 1 interception, but here's the thing that made everyone angry when it came out afterwards. The head coach Kevin Stefanski admitted publicly that Sheduer had never taken a single snap with the first-team offense in practice the entire season, not one. He had been sitting there for 11 weeks and nobody had prepared him to actually play. He was thrown into a live NFL game with 0 first-team preparation against a Ravens defense. That is not fair to any quarterback, let alone a raw rookie in his first professional action. Radio hosts called it amateurish. Former NFL executives questioned the whole plan. Cleveland was getting destroyed in the media for how badly they had handled the situation. But Gabriel was out for the following week, and now Cleveland had no choice. They had to start Shedeur, and this time, for the first time all season, he got a full week of preparation knowing he was going to be the guy. Week 12. Las Vegas Raiders, and everything looked different. Shedeur threw the ball down the field. Cleveland hit multiple passes of 40-plus yards, something that had been almost completely absent from their offense the entire year. He moved around, extended plays, kept drives alive, and barely took any sacks. Cleveland won 24-10. He became the first Browns quarterback to win his first career start since 1995, 30 years. That tells you everything about how long Cleveland has been struggling at this position. After that win, Gabriel actually came back healthy. Cleveland could have gone back to him. They chose not to, because as the head coach put it, the #1 job of a quarterback is to win. And Shedeur had done that. Then came week 14 against Tennessee, and this was the game where Shedeur really showed what he was capable of. He threw for 364 yards, 3 touchdown passes, added a rushing touchdown on top of that. He became the first Browns rookie quarterback to throw for 300 yards in a game since Baker Mayfield. Cleveland scored 29 points, the highest total they had put up all season, and it was not a clean, easy game either. He threw an interception in the third quarter that gave Tennessee the lead. The Browns were suddenly in trouble, but instead of falling apart, Shedeur drove them right back down the field, scrambled for a touchdown, then connected on another score with just over a minute left to make it a 1-point game. Cleveland ultimately lost because the coaching staff pulled him for a trick play on the 2-point conversion instead of letting him stay on the field. The play failed. They were eliminated from the playoffs. But what Shedeur showed in that game, the ability to keep competing, keep making plays, keep his team in it when everything was going wrong, that is something you cannot teach. The final 2 weeks of the season made it even clearer. Week 17 against Pittsburgh, he was sharp, efficient, and smart with the football. Cleveland won 13-6, their first divisional win of the entire year. Then week 18 at Cincinnati, down by 1 with 90 seconds left, Shedeur drove his team down the field, converted the key third downs, and got Cleveland close enough for the game-winning field goal as time expired. Back-to-back wins to end the season. First time the Browns had done that in 2 full years. So is he actually good? Here is the honest answer. He finished with 1,400 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions across his 7 starts. Those numbers look rough on paper. He held onto the ball too long sometimes. He made some decisions late in games that cost his team. That is all real and fair criticism. But here is what those numbers do not show you. He was playing behind the 31st ranked offensive line in the entire NFL at protecting the quarterback. His wide receivers were among the worst in the league at getting open. The run game gave him almost nothing to work with. Nearly half of every time he dropped back to pass, someone was in his face. That is one of the highest pressure rates in the whole league. And remember, Joe Flacco, a veteran with a Super Bowl ring and 15 years of experience, could not function behind that same line. Dillon Gabriel averaged just 94 passing yards per game as a starter. The second worst average in the entire NFL that season was nearly 40 yards per game better than that. Shedeur came in cold with no preparation and still went 3-4 as a starter. He brought deep passing back to an offense that had forgotten what it looked like.